Okay, so we're now on the record. Tanjha, please raise your right hand and state your name.
Tanjha Quintana?
Do you solemnly swear or affirm that your testimony will be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
Yes.
Okay.
Do you need to say anything else, Tatiana, or no?
Everyone stipulates that this is Tanjha Quintana.
Yeah, we do.
Yeah. Yes.
You can go ahead.
Okay, thank you. Hi, Ms. Quintana. It's Matt Sarelson. As you know, I represent Stephen Moreau in a lawsuit against the city. Can you see me okay?
Yeah.
Okay, so this is a little weird, and I apologize, but because of the way we're doing this and everything. So if you need me to slow down or clarify, just let me know, okay? I won't take up too much of your time, okay?
Sure.
Can you tell us your full name?
Well, on my birth certificate it says Tanjha Quintana Garcia, but I usually just go by Tanjha Quintana.
Okay, so even though, that's fine. And then even though we're on this video, you understand you're under oath as if this was in a courtroom, right?
Yeah.
Can you say yes for the court reporter instead of just
Yeah.
nodding? Thank
Yeah.
you. And then how old are you, Ms. Quintana?
I just turned 23.
Okay, happy birthday. Where do you live?
Yeah. In Kendall, West Kendall.
West Kendall. Was there a time, Ms. Quintana, when you were employed by the city of Miami?
Yes.
When was that?
April of 2018 to August of 2019, I believe.
And how did you get the job?
I was referred.
What was your title?
I'm sorry. Receptionist.
Did you work for a particular commissioner?
Yes, I worked for Joe Carrillo.
When you started working for the city of Miami, did you receive a copy of any kind of an employee handbook?
No.
When you started working for the city of Miami, did you receive any paperwork explaining how you could report or file a complaint about a fellow coworker?
Yes, that one I did.
Was there ever a time when Commissioner Joe Carrillo ordered you to keep track of the time so that Mr. Stephen Moreau entered and exited the office?
Yes.
Did Commissioner Carrillo ever tell you why he was asking you to do this?
No.
Was anyone else in Commissioner Carrillo's office tasked with keeping track of this kind of information on Mr. Moreau?
Not to my knowledge.
Did you in fact keep track of Mr. Moreau's in and out from the office?
Yes.
Was it done on a piece of paper or on your computer?
On my computer.
Do you remember what you saved the document as?
I honestly don't remember.
Do you remember if you ever emailed or forwarded the electronic version of the document to anyone?
No.
Did you ever have to print it out and give it to anyone?
Yes.
Who was that?
To Jose Suarez and to Commissioner Carrillo.
So at least from your knowledge, Jose Suarez also knew that you were keeping track of him, right?
From my knowledge, yes.
What was, you said Jose Suarez?
Yes.
Right? What was Jose Suarez's role in the office?
At that moment, I believe he was still a, what is it called? Not the chief of staff,
Was he the deputy chief of staff?
No, not at that time.
Okay. This was
At that
before.
time, it was Anthony Barcena.
Okay, so it was before he was deputy chief of staff.
Yes, I can't remember the title.
Were you ever asked to keep similar information about anyone else who worked for Commissioner Carrillo?
No.
The time records that you created, that would have just showed the time that he left the office, right?
Left and came back inside, yes.
And leaving the office would include using the bathroom, right?
As far as when he would leave and come back, yes, I didn't know what he was doing, but I would record those times as well.
But there's no bathroom within the office. He would have had to leave the office to use the bathroom,
Yeah.
right?
Yes.
And if he were to go meet with another commissioner, he would have, it would show up on the report that says he left the office, right?
Yes.
And when he left the office, did you ever know what it was he was doing outside the office?
No.
Do you know roughly what Stephen Moreau's job duties were?
He was a liaison, so he would visit the district, and to my knowledge, he would go to events with the commissioner as well.
Were you ever asked to review surveillance cameras of Stephen Moreau?
I'm sorry?
Were you ever asked to review surveillance cameras of Mr. Moreau?
No.
Did you ever see like surveillance recordings of Mr. Moreau?
No.
At some point, you remember Stephen Moreau was fired, right?
Yes.
Did Commissioner Carroyo ever tell you why Moreau was fired?
No.
Did Richard Bloom ever tell you why Moreau was fired?
Nope.
Did Jose Suarez ever tell you why Moreau was fired?
No.
Did Anthony Barcena ever tell you why Stephen Moreau was fired?
No.
Were you ever asked to prepare a statement for Richard Bloom about Stephen Moreau?
I'm sorry?
Were you ever asked to prepare a statement for Richard Bloom about Stephen Moreau?
No.
Did you ever write up any kind of a complaint about Stephen Moreau?
Yes.
Who asked you to prepare that?
The commissioner.
That was directly requested of you by Commissioner Joe Carroyo?
As far as I can remember, yes, I think.
That was after Stephen Moreau had already been fired, correct?
Yes.
Did Joe Carroyo ever tell you why he wanted you to prepare this document?
No.
Did anyone assist you with the preparation of the statement?
No.
Did anyone have any input into what you were putting in there?
Yes.
Who was that?
The commissioner.
What did the commissioner want you to put in there?
That Mr. Moreau was sexually harassing me.
Anything else he asked you to put in there?
He basically just made me exaggerate what was really happening.
So at least with respect to the written document that was prepared by you after Moreau was fired, it was Commissioner Carroyo who asked you to prepare that document and asked you to embellish what was in there. Is that right?
Yes.
And Mr. Joe Carroyo was obviously your boss at the time, right?
Yes.
So you complied with his request to embellish what was going on?
Yep.
And Stephen Moreau, I think you would describe Stephen Moreau as a little bit creepy, right?
Just a little bit, yes.
Okay, but he didn't actually like sexually harass you, did he?
No.
But even though he didn't sexually harass you, it was Joe Carroyo who wanted you to say he was sexually harassing you, right?
Yes.
Did the written statement that was prepared, did that go in, was there any, let me rephrase that, I said that horribly. The written statement that you prepared at the request of Joe Carroyo, did that go through any drafts or was it a one and done?
I believe it was probably, I think, one draft, if that.
And did anyone have any input into how that draft was edited or changed?
I'm sorry?
Did anybody have any input into how that draft was edited or changed?
Yes.
Who was that?
The commissioner.
Do you remember what changes he requested?
No, he basically just told me to exaggerate things more than what it really was.
And did you comply with his request?
Yes.
And did you do that because you felt it was part of your job since he was the boss?
Yep.
Madam Clerk, to get my objection to form.
Yes.
Did you email Ms. Quintana, did you email or forward your statement to anyone?
Not that I can remember.
Did you have to like print it out and give it to anyone?
Print it out, yes.
Do you remember who you gave it to?
I believe it was Chief and the Commissioner.
Chief being Richard Bloom.
Yes.
When you were hired by the city of Miami, did you receive any training about the need to maintain government or public documents?
Yes.
Who gave you that training?
It was when we first did the orientation. I don't remember the name.
Did you receive any training requiring you to use your workplace email or workplace phone for government business activity?
That I can remember, yes.
Did there ever come a time at any point during your employment that you deleted any documents that were prepared on your work computer?
Not that I can remember.
Did you ever receive or send text messages from anyone else who worked for Commissioner Carroyo?
During that time period, no.
So during the time that you worked for the commissioner, you wouldn't send text messages to any of the other people who worked for the commissioner?
Yes.
I'm gonna object to form. Go ahead.
What other people would you have sent some text messages to at the time that you worked there?
All of them.
All of them include.
Matthew, can I have a point of order? I lost the question. I just want to make sure I understand what you're asking her. Do you mind if I?
Yeah, the question was just who at the office would you have sent text messages to?
Okay, so you're asking her if she sent text messages to other people?
Yes.
Okay, no problem. Go ahead.
Okay. All right, Ms. Quintana, when you say all of them, would that include Joe Carroyo?
No.
What about Anthony Barcena?
Yes.
Jose Suarez?
Yes.
The other female employees who worked at the office?
Yes.
And the text messages that were sent around this time, those would concern, at least some of them would concern things that were happening in the office and other business activity?
No.
Form.
What were the text messages for?
I mean, during that time, we were doing I believe it was the paellas. It was one of those events that we would go to the old people home, and we would text each other about like where we were, what we had to do.
Was someone named Alex Diaz de la Portilla on any of those text messages?
Form.
My knowledge, no.
What about anyone who worked for him?
No.
At any point, did you ever have any conversations with anyone affiliated with Alex Diaz de la Portilla in connection with these paella events at the senior citizen centers?
Form.
No.
Do you know if anyone in your office did?
Form.
No.
Prior to the statement that you prepared at the request of Commissioner Carroyo, did you ever write down anything about Stephen Moreau's behavior?
No. Just the times that he would come in and out.
Okay, so at least while he was still employed, you never put anything in writing about what he was or was not doing. Is that right?
No. Yes.
Yes, meaning I'm correct?
Yes, you're correct.
Okay. During the time that Stephen Moreau worked for Joe Carroyo, did you ever complain, even in person, about Stephen Moreau's behavior?
No.
During the time that Stephen Moreau worked for Joe Carroyo, did anyone, to your knowledge, ever complain to anyone about Stephen Moreau's behavior?
Not to my knowledge.
Did you ever speak with any of the City of Miami's Human Resource Department people about Stephen Moreau?
No.
Did anyone at the city's Human Resource Department ever reach out to you concerning Stephen Moreau's employment or his termination or behavior or anything of the sort?
Not that I can remember.
Do you remember being called as a witness in early April 2019? It was about a year ago. Do you remember being called as a witness in early April 2019 at a public hearing about Stephen Moreau?
Yes.
Prior to that hearing, Did you ever speak with Commissioner Carroyo about your expected testimony?
Yes.
Was there a meeting with Commissioner Joe Carroyo at his house where your expected testimony was discussed?
Yes.
Who else was there for this meeting other than you and Commissioner Joe Carroyo?
His wife Marjorie and my mom.
At this meeting at his home prior to your testimony, did Commissioner Joe Carroyo pressure you into giving certain testimony against Stephen Moreau?
Yes.
What did he pressure you into saying?
He basically coached me into what I was supposed to say before the deposition.
But when you say the deposition, before the public hearing
Yes.
at City Hall? Okay.
Yeah.
Would you say that Commissioner Joe Carroyo intimidated you during this meeting?
Objection. Form.
Okay, the answer is yes.
Yes.
Would you say that Commissioner Joe Carroyo physically intimidated you at this meeting prior to your testimony?
Physically, no.
Was he fairly aggressive in his position as to what it was that he wanted you to say?
His demeanor, his voice, yes.
Okay, so at least, let me rephrase that. So at least with respect to his demeanor and the tone of his voice, would you say he was intimidating at this meeting?
Yes.
Did Commissioner Carroyo, would you say that Commissioner Carroyo threatened you into giving certain testimony at this meeting?
Objective form.
Threaten me? No.
Did you feel obligated to comply with Joe Carroyo's request that you give certain testimony?
Yes.
Did you in fact give testimony that was consistent with what Joe Carroyo wanted you and coached you to say?
Yes. Manipulated would be the better word.
Manipulated, you said?
Yes.
Are you aware of anyone else who worked for anyone? I'm sorry, I said that horribly. Let me rephrase that. Are you aware of anyone working for any other city commissioner who complained at all about Stephen Moreau?
Not to my knowledge.
To the best of your knowledge, then, no employee at the city of Miami ever complained about Stephen Moreau during the time he was employed?
To my knowledge, no. I can't remember.
Richard Bloom was Joe Carroyo's chief of staff while you were employed. Does that sound right? Was there a time that you wrote up any complaints
I didn't hear
about?
I'm sorry?
there wasn't a verbal answer for that for the last one. For the
I can't hear you.
was Joe Carollo, chief of staff.
Sorry, I'm sorry, Ms. Quintana. The question was, Richard Bloom was Carroyo's chief of staff. Is that right?
Yes.
Was it there ever? Let me rephrase that. Did you ever write up any complaints about Richard Bloom around the time of Mr. Bloom's termination?
Yes.
Who asked you to write up Richard Bloom?
Commissioner Carroyo.
Did he ask you to lie about Richard Bloom?
Yes.
Were you pressured and coerced into the written statement that you produced about Richard Bloom?
Form.
Yes.
The answer was yes, right, Ms. Quintana?
Yes.
So there were things in the complaint that you wrote up about Richard Bloom that were untrue, right?
Yes.
And Commissioner Carroyo then knew that what was being said about Richard Bloom was untrue, right?
Objection form.
To my knowledge, yes.
You remember when your deposition was originally scheduled for about maybe a month ago? I'm not even sure the right date, but it was scheduled for several weeks ago. Do you remember that?
Yes. Yes.
Prior to that deposition that didn't go forward, but that was scheduled for several weeks ago, did anyone from the city attorney, the city of Miami city attorney's office, or the city of Miami at all reach out to you with respect to what your anticipated testimony would be?
Not that I can remember.
Did anyone from the city, including anyone from the city's attorney's office, request to speak with you in advance of your deposition?
Yes.
And did you in fact speak with any of them?
Briefly, yes.
did you have what was the substance of the conversation you had in that brief conversation?
He basically just asked me what was going on. Yeah, just basically what was going on. What are you gonna say?
In the weeks and months that have led up to today's deposition and to the deposition of yours that was supposed to occur several weeks ago, did Commissioner Carroyo ever reach out to you with respect to your anticipated testimony?
No.
So let me just see if I understand this then. The written statement that you prepared for, let me rephrase that. So the written statement that you prepared about Mr. Moreau was done at the request of Commissioner Joe Carroyo, right?
Yes.
And the substance of what went into that written statement that you drafted was also requested or manipulated, of course, by Joe Carroyo. Is that correct?
Yes.
With respect to the testimony that you gave at the hearing that was held at City Hall about a year ago, Commissioner Joe Carroyo pressured you into giving that testimony, right?
Yeah.
Ms. Quintana, I appreciate the testimony you've given today. I don't want to take up any more of your time. The city attorneys may have some questions for you.
I do. Good afternoon, Ms. Quintana. My name is Kevin Jones, the Office of the City Attorney. And I'm going to ask you a series of questions. The questions I ask you, I'm not entitled to know what your lawyers have talked to you about, right? So I think you're represented by Mr. Winker today. So I'm going to ask you a series of questions. Whatever the answer is, if you believe you need to respond with what Mr. Winker has said to you, I'm not entitled to know that, and I'm not asking that question. Do you understand?
Yes.
You may hear some objections by Mr. Winker to form, but unless he instructs you not to answer the question, and you understand the question, you're to answer the question, correct?
Yes.
Madam Court Reporter, before we begin, did someone else enter this deposition? Is there someone else in the Zoom meeting?
Yes, someone named Joey Fletches.
From the Miami Herald?
I'm not sure where he's from, but.
Is this a private Zoom meeting or is this public?
This is supposed to be private.
Okay. Do you know how he entered the room?
I'm not sure. I can ask my IT if you have an issue with the person in the
Well,
Zoom.
I do. If it's supposed to be private, then somebody who's a part of this proceeding sent him a link to enter into this private deposition. So I do have a problem with that.
Okay, let me contact IT.
While she's doing that, Matthew, I'm going to ask that you, since it's on your end, I could probably do it on my end. It might be a little bit more difficult, but I want to pull the statement that Tanjha issued.
Yeah, I think you can do that. I'm not an expert at this stuff, but I think you can do that. I think.
Yeah, I know you can. I did it with. We usually use Teams, so I know how to dominate Teams, but this is new. So let me see. Steph, can you?
Kevin, if you need me to share screen, the statements that you sent, I didn't see Tanja's as part of that. I only saw 3 statements.
So that's kind of why I sent it. Is there should be. I'm not sure that I have her statement.
It's dated June 8th at the top right corner.
Right. The only one that I have that's dated June 8th in the upper right corner it's not signed. It just.
Yeah, but that's Tanjha's. And I'll talk to her about it in a minute.
Is it the one that says turn over at the bottom?
No, it's the one at the bottom. The last sentence was, it said at his desk for more than 10 minutes.
Yeah, that's it. Yeah, it's the unsigned one.
That's it. Yeah, that's it.
Yeah, so it ends at the bottom. It says the office constantly and couldn't sit at his desk for more than 10 minutes.
That's it.
Okay. So so Stephanie, you should have all 4. It's just one of them isn't signed, which is why it looks like there's 3.
Got it. You want me to screen share that, Kevin?
Please. Madam Court Reporter, have we figured out how the person entered into the deposition?
Through a link, but the person is removed.
Okay. So I want to put on the record that
Yeah. Okay.
send the link to Mr. Fletcher's, and I know Stephanie Panoff did send the link to Mr. Fletcher's. This deposition was supposed to be private, and that there's only two other options of who sent the link. I'm going to put that on the record for any future use we might need to do this. Okay. So Ms. Quintana.
Yes.
Can you see my screen?
I can see it.
I
Can you see
can.
the screen?
I can. Yes. I have to zoom in since my phone is this way and the thing is this way. But yes, I see it.
Mr. Winker, can you see the screen?
I sure can.
All right. So Ms. Quintana, you started with the city in April of 2016, correct?
No, 2018.
18. I stand corrected. You started with the city in April of 2018, and I think you told Mr. Sarelson that you were you were referred to the job, correct?
Yes.
All right. And you knew you were working for Commissioner Carollo, right?
Yes.
Now, you had known Commissioner Carollo before working for him in his office, right?
Yes.
And how long do you think you knew him?
Years, I believe.
Years. And he actually he knows your mother and the other immediate members of your family, correct?
Yes.
Is there a familial connection between you two?
No.
You understand what I mean when I say familial? Somebody's married into the family, a distant cousin, a longstanding friend.
Yes.
And who is that be?
That is my grandmother's brother's wife's sister.
All right. So it's a long chain, but there's a familial connection between you two.
Yes.
Had you ever been to his house before the date you described to Mr. Sarelson?
No.
All right. Had you ever met his wife before the date you described to Mr. Sarelson?
Yes.
All right. Does Commissioner Croy know other members of your family?
Yes.
All right. So when you were referred to the job and accepted the job, you had no concerns about working for Commissioner Carrell, correct?
No.
And before you took the job, what were you doing?
I was working at a restaurant, I believe.
You're a waitress.
Yes.
All right. And so would you consider that the job with Commissioner Carrell was there's nothing wrong with being a waitress, obviously, but do you consider that job to be a little bit more prestigious than being a waitress?
Yes.
So in your mind, you were, and again, there's nothing wrong with being a waitress. I was a waiter at one point, but in your mind, you were going into a more professional space, right?
Yes.
All right. Now you started in, like we said, April of 16, and Mr. Miro was fired in about April of 16, and Mr. Miro was fired in about June of 18, correct?
Yes.
So that puts you in the office for roughly 6 weeks, roughly.
Around that time.
I
Yes.
think you said when you testified earlier that you're the newest one in the office, right? You're the newest.
Yes.
Recall
Yeah.
that? All right.
Yeah.
So at some point, and I want to jump ahead, but we'll go back. At some point, you indicated you drafted a statement regarding Mr. Miro's behavior, right?
Yes.
Now I put it on the screen. I want to go through it because you currently indicated that some aspect of this was coerced. I want you to identify what aspect of this was coerced. All right, so read the first paragraph for me and identify what you were coerced to say.
Okay, give me 1 second. Okay, he didn't ask me about my boyfriend.
So
How long have you guys been together? Where did you meet? He never asked me that.
okay, so Stephen Miro never asked you about your boyfriend,
No.
but the remaining part of that paragraph is accurate. You attested it's true, what you put down there.
But I saw nothing wrong with it. Yes.
All right, so that we're clear, everything in this paragraph is true except for the part where you write, he asked me about my boyfriend.
Yes.
All right, we'll get back to it, but I want to go through this entire document and for you to tell me what aspects of these things are not true. All right, so this paragraph starts with a week or so after I began working in the office of Commissioner Carollo himself. You see that paragraph
Yeah.
until what is not true.
Yes, that's all true.
All right, let's go to the third paragraph. Weeks went by and we would on occasion. Start there, read the entire paragraph. Tell me what's not true.
Obviously, the boyfriend part. Plans over the weekend.
Only the boyfriend part about plans for the weekend, but the remainder is true.
Let me see. Yes, the rest of it is true.
Start with the paragraph that starts within the last couple of weeks.
Mm-hmm.
Tell me what about that paragraph is not true.
It's true.
All right, final paragraph. Read it. Tell me what's true or not true.
The part that it says, and just seemed like he was up to no good.
So that part is no true.
No.
Okay, so let's talk about this in total then. So out of this document that you were asked to, you've identified one area that you say is not true, and that area is the part about where he's asking you for about your boyfriend, and he seems like he's up to no good. Everything else in this statement is absolutely true, correct?
Mm-hmm. Yes.
Okay, is that a yes?
Yes.
All right, and so you indicated to Mr. Searleson earlier that you also believe, and I think you've already attested that you did find Mr. Miro a little creepy, correct?
Creepy, yes.
All right. Now there are 3 other women who worked with you at the time in that office.
Hmm.
You remember their names?
Mara, Gisela, and Lisa.
You are aware that they also did affidavits about Mr. Miro's conduct, correct?
Yes.
All right. Now, being the last one in the office, would you say that they had more exposure to Mr. Miro or less?
I'm sorry?
You were the last one hired. So would you say the other ladies who complained about Mr. Miro had more exposure to him or less?
More.
All right. Would you say that they had a better idea of his behavior on a day-to-day basis over a longer period of time?
Yes.
Do you have any indication that what they put down on paper, their affidavits about Mr. Miro's conduct, is anything other than the gospel truth?
I don't.
Objection. Objection is the form.
I'm sorry?
Objections. Calling for the objection.
I got you. Miss Santana, what's your answer?
I don't know. I can't remember.
You don't know, right?
No.
So if Stella, Mata, or Lisette said that Mr. Miro was behaving strangely and doing these different things, you can't say that that's not true, right?
Yes.
Okay. So let's talk about you to the extent that you put in this affidavit, Miro asked you about your boyfriend and he seemed like he was up to no good. Those statements would have been, according to you now, not true, correct?
Not true.
All right. So you recall testifying under oath at the Civil Service Board, right?
Yes.
All right. You do realize you were under oath, right?
Yes.
Under oath means you swore to tell the truth. You understand that?
Yes.
And you understand that you're under oath now, right?
Yes.
So to the extent that you put those things in that affidavit, you would have lied under oath.
Yes.
Is that a yes? All right. Here's the other thing, Ms. Quintana. I know your mother's in the room, and you know, I haven't objected to that because you're an adult. Normally, you're not allowed to have people in the room with you. So to the extent that she's there, she can't assist you in answering any of these questions. She can't be nodding her head or giving you any gestures. Do you understand that?
Yes.
All right. In fact, I'm going to have to ask her to leave the room because normally I would give you this courtesy, but we're all on video cameras. I can't see her, so I don't know what she's doing. So I'm going to have to ask her to leave the room.
If she's on camera, would that be better?
No, because I don't know if she's whispering to you, and I'm not suggesting she is, but we're all on, this is new, so we're all on cameras. I can't see her responses. I'm going to have to ask her to leave.
Okay.
Did she leave, Ms. Quintana?
Yes.
Okay. Can you do me, are you in a room where you can close the door?
Yes.
Can you do that for me, please?
Yes.
Okay. So the other task that, are you ready?
Yes.
Okay. The other task that you were asked by Commissioner Carrillo to do is to write down a timesheet or a log, keep track of Mr. Miro, correct?
Yes.
You don't know why he was asking you to keep track of Mr. Miro, do you?
No.
And as Mr. Searleson pointed out, once Mr. Miro leaves your field of view, once he leaves the office, you don't know what he was doing, correct?
No.
He could have been doing something
Only,
that he was tasked to do with his job, or he could have been doing something else.
only briefly would I see him right outside the office, since it was a glass door. I would see him outside the office on his cell phone.
Well, again, the question posed was, as Mr. Searleson suggested, he could have been working or doing something that he was directed to do, or he could have not been working. You just simply don't know, correct?
I don't know. Yes.
What we do know is he was in and out of the office at very frequent intervals, correct?
Yes.
All right. Now, you indicated to Mr. Searleson that you didn't know whether or not anybody else complained about Mr. Miro. You recall that question and answer?
Yes.
Are you aware that a complaint was lodged by Rebecca Wakefield in Ken Russell's office against him?
No.
Are you aware that James, who sits in Ken Russell's office, also raised concerns about Mr. Miro's conduct?
No.
All right. And to be fair to you, there would be no way you would know something like that, correct?
No.
All right. That's outside of your responsibilities. Would that be fair?
Yeah.
All right.
Yes.
You were tasked while you were in Commissioner Carrillo's office as a receptionist, right?
Yep.
All right. You indicated that that leading up to the civil service hearing, where you admit today that you in part lied in your affidavit, that you were forced to do that by Commissioner Carrillo. You recall that question and answer?
Yes.
All right. Do you recall how long before the civil service hearing that this alleged meeting occurred?
I want to say it was the day before.
All right. You're saying it was 24 hours before the civil service hearing, correct?
Roughly.
Now, you just told us under oath that Commissioner Carrillo was demanding that you say that Miro sexually harassed you, right?
Yes.
However, you didn't say that. You didn't say that in the commission at the civil service hearing, did you?
Not that I can remember.
In a few minutes, I'll get your transcript. But do you recall ever saying, although you've told us that you were pressured to do this, do you recall ever actually saying Miro sexually harassed you?
I don't remember.
Okay. Certainly in your affidavit, even though you're telling the world now that you were pressured, in your affidavit, you never say he made any sexual remarks.
I'd like to object. What affidavit are you talking about?
The statement that she gave.
It's not an affidavit. It's a statement. It's a written statement. It's not an affidavit. It's just saying. It's a statement. It's not an affidavit. It's a big difference.
I understand that's not an objection, Matthew. She just testified that this was true. Every aspect of it was true with a certain limitation. So how about this? In the written statement you gave about Mr. Miro's conduct, you never say he sexually harassed you, did you?
Sexually harassed? No. He didn't feel uncomfortable.
In fact, you specifically say, although you've told us under oath that the commissioner threatened you and made you do things, you specifically say in the last line of this statement, he never made any sexual remarks toward me or made me personally uncomfortable in that way. But he was definitely a little creepy, to put it lightly. See that?
Yes.
So although you've told, for the benefit of this deposition, although you've said currently under oath that this commissioner did all these things to you, there's evidence that you said that he was sexually harassing to you to anyone before today, correct?
Yes.
Okay. Is that yes, you did say he sexually harassed you, or yes, you did not say? Over.
I'm sorry, can you repeat the question?
Yes. You never said in this statement that he sexually harassed you, that Miro sexually harassed you, correct?
Yes.
You did say he sexually harassed you in this statement?
No, correct.
Show me where you say he sexually harassed you.
I don't say it.
Okay, so we're saying the same thing.
Yes.
To be clear, you just spent the first part of this deposition saying that the commissioner was forcing you to say he was a sexual harasser, yet in your statement, you never say that Miro sexually harassed you, right?
Yes.
And although in your current statement, while you're under oath, Ms. Quintana, you said 24 hours before the civil service hearing, the commissioner apparently harassed you and threatened you to say he was a sexual harasser, but you never actually say Miro sexually harassed you at the actual hearing, do you?
I don't remember.
Let me pull up your transcript now so we can get to it. All right, let's see.
I definitely can't read that.
It starts, can you read it?
I mean,
It starts at the bottom of the first column.
bottom of the first. Okay.
And the way you have to read it is the next page is, it goes in sequential order. I think the page that is highlighting is 231. The next page is 232. And then you got to read to the second column. See that?
Okay.
All right. So we're going to go through this because I want to be fair to you. So I'm going to let you read this whole thing. Okay. So it may take a minute. Steph, can you start moving it that quick? I don't think you can read that fast. So here we go. You see? Directed by Mr. Jones. See that?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so before we go any further, do you know who Mr. Jones is?
Yes.
Who's that?
You.
Okay, and we met several times before you gave your testimony, didn't we?
Yes.
All right, so let's go through that. And Ms. Quintana, you got to let us know when you need us to move the page, okay?
Yes, I'm on the. Did there come a point in time when Commissioner Corio asked you to monitor?
All right. Steph, can you go to the top of the next column so she could read that? I think. There you go.
Okay.
All right. Where are you at now, Ms. Quintana? Are you on the top of where it says Chairman Sutton or?
Hold on. Can you scroll back up really quick?
Sure.
Okay, that's fine. Okay. Okay, you can scroll down.
Let me see if I can make it very large and then I can do one page at a time. Let me see. That might be better.
Steph, I think you got him. I think it's too big.
No, it doesn't work? Okay.
No, it doesn't work. We got to take it back down.
Okay. Now I'm at the chairperson Sutton part. Okay. 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 Okay.
Are you on page 239, Ms. Quintana?
Yes.
Okay. So before I let you read the whole thing, there's a question I want to jump here and ask you. You said under oath previously that you went to the commissioner with your statement. You recall that question and answer?
Yes.
Okay. So I want you to look at page 239 where it says, question, at some point Lisette met with Chief Blom or brought these concerns to Chief Blom. Were you the first to go to Chief Blom, or was your answer no? Your question, Lisette, how did Chief Blom ever approach you and ask you about Mr. Miro's behavior in the office? Your answer, not before Lisette had approached him. Question, not before Lisette, but at some point after he spoke to Lisette, he came to you. Answer, yes. That's your answer. See that?
Yes.
When you see that?
Yes.
Okay, so when you said earlier that you never went to Chief Blom and that you went to Commissioner Correa with the statement, that was not true, correct? According to your testimony, yes?
I don't remember, but yes.
According to your testimony, under oath during the civil service meeting, Lisette had gone to Chief Blom, and then Chief Blom, after speaking with Lisette, came to you directly. You see that?
Yes.
So this whole thing about Commissioner Correa and these statements that you're giving him simply is not true, is it?
No, I gave him the statement that I wrote about Mr. Moreau.
Yeah, but that was after Chief Blom got it from you, correct?
Not that I can remember. I don't remember which one came first.
Well, let's go on. It says, all right, would it be fair to say that Mr. Miro's behavior was abnormal? Your answer, yes. All right, concerned about him in the office? Your answer, yes. You see that?
Mm-hmm.
Those answers are true, correct?
Yes.
All right. So when you say that Mr. Miro was acting in a way that was concerning to you, you're telling the truth, right?
Yes.
All right, keep reading. We're going to talk about the rest of it.
Okay.
Did you get a chance to read the whole thing, Ms. Quintana?
I'm on page 240 right now.
Okay.
Okay. Okay. Okay. That's, yeah. Oh, okay. 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 Okay.
Can I stop you again right at this moment? Are you on page 244? Tana?
Yes. No. 246.
Okay, let's go back to 244 at the bottom.
Hold on.
Number 15, question. Other than meeting with Mr. Blom, did you meet with anyone else in the office after it was discovered that this was going on? Your response, no. At some point, though, after Mr. Miro was terminated, you prepared a memo or document of some kind, correct? Your answer, yes. Who directed you to prepare that? Your answer, Chief of Staff, Richard Blom. You see that?
Yes.
This is your answers under oath at the civil service, and you know that, right?
Yes.
So this whole thing about today, about the chief, that the commissioner telling you to draft something or to prepare a statement is simply not true, is it, Ms. Quintana?
It is, because the chief told me that the commissioner had asked him to have me write the statement.
Okay, but that's not what you said previously. You told us under oath previously that Commissioner Carollo directed you to make the statement and intimidated you, when the actual truth that you've given under oath is that Chief Blom is the one who approached you and asked you to prepare a statement, right?
He's the one, yes, but.
Okay, let me ask you a follow-up question. Do you know why Chief Blom would have asked you to prepare a statement?
No.
Okay, let's go. Let me let you finish reading.
Hold on. Okay.
All right. Did you finish the whole thing? Are we done? Or is there more?
Yeah, 246. I just finished.
No, I think you got some on 247, to be fair to you. And then there's some question and answers there may be questions by the body.
So do I read page 247?
I want you to read the whole thing so that you are sufficiently comfortable that I'm not asking you something that's not in this document.
Okay. Okay.
I think if you get to 248, I think you're done.
Yeah.
All right.
Then they're talking about Gisela.
Steph, can we go up? Let's go up to slowly. Up. Stop right there, Steph. Somebody's television is on in the background?
Not mine.
All right. You were asked a series of questions a few minutes ago by Mr. Searleson, Ms. Quintana. First of all, before we begin, did you read all of your testimony at the Civil Service Board?
Yes.
Okay. Nowhere in any of this testimony do you say that Stephen Miro sexually harassed you, correct?
Yes.
Yes, you do say it? Or
Correct. Correct.
you do say he sexually harassed you?
No. Nowhere in the statement do I say that he sexually harassed me.
Okay. A few minutes ago, you spent a great deal of time telling us that the commissioner brought you to his house and he threatened you and he wanted you to elaborate and make this thing bigger than what it was. He wanted you to say that he sexually harassed you. Recall that testimony?
Yes.
Okay. At the Civil Service Board, under oath, you never say Stephen Miro sexually harassed you, correct?
Yes. Correct.
Correct. Okay. So let's talk a little bit about something else here. Switch gears a little bit. You were asked a series of questions by Mr. Sermon about or if anybody assisted you. Anybody call those questions names?
I'm sorry, the call is breaking up. Something about drafts.
Drafts of your statement.
Uh-huh.
This is a court reporter. The last like 20 seconds broke up completely and it froze and I couldn't hear.
Yeah.
You could repeat.
Okay, which part? What was the last question you got?
The last thing you said was, let's talk about questions, and then it.
You're breaking up. You're breaking up to me now.
Okay.
Your last question. What was the last question and answer?
You were saying you were asked a series of questions, and then it broke out. That's what you were saying.
Okay. You did get the part about where she says that nowhere in her testimony she says that Miro sexually harassed her, correct? Madam Court Reporter, you got that part?
Yeah, that was prior. That was prior to that.
Okay. All right. I'm just trying to see where we left off. Okay. So Mr. Searleson asked you a series of questions, Ms. Quintana, about how many drafts your statement went through. You recall that series of questions?
Hmm.
Yes? You got to answer out loud.
Yes.
Okay.
Sorry.
And as fate would have it, he asked you at the civil service hearing the same set of questions. See that on the screen now?
Yes.
All right. This is his question to you. Did the documents go through drafts? Your answer, not that I recall. You see that?
Yes.
All right. He then said, do you have emails with Barcena about the documents you're preparing? Your answer, no. Question, are you public? Not that I recall. See that?
Mm-hmm.
Were you ever directed by Barcena to make changes to the document? Your answer, no. You see that?
Mm-hmm.
You got to answer out loud, Ms. Quintana.
Yes. Yes, I see it.
The next question, did any of the material that you put into that document come from your conversations with any other one in the office? Answer, no. Yeah?
Correct.
Steph, go down for me, please, to page 244. Your question, at no point did you no point did you on your own go up to anyone in the office of Commissioner Carrell, correct? Answer, no, I believe it was just happened to me. You see that?
Mm-hmm. Yes.
So that answer, no, I believe it was just happening to me, you're referring to Miro's behavior, correct?
Yes.
All right. And of course, he asked you about going to HR and this other. Did you know that you could go to HR?
Yes.
You did?
Yes.
And I believe you indicated that you said you were new and you didn't want to start a problem, correct?
Yeah. Yes, correct.
But you certainly believed that what was happening, outside of not wanting to create a problem, you certainly believed that what Miro was doing was something that HR should have known about, correct?
Yes.
Now, I want to put a fine point on something before we, I think, move on to the areas. When Mr. Searleson was questioning you, you made a point of drawing 2 points of time in my mind that are relevant. One point where you say the day before the civil service hearing, Commissioner wanted you to amplify behavior. Correct? You recall that answer you gave him?
Correct.
what we just established over the last 30 minutes or so was that your statement, but for the where Miro asked you about your boyfriend and the part where you say he's up to no good is true. Outside of those three areas, whatever you put that statement is true.
Yes.
All right. Also, although you testified that the commissioner threatened you to amplify your statements against Mr. Miro, you never indicate that Mr. Miro sexually harassed you.
Correct.
And you just getting an opportunity here to read your transcript. At no point in your transcript do you indicate that Mr. Miro either sexually harassed you or approached you in any way other than to appear a little creepy. All that?
Yes.
And those things are true, correct?
Correct.
Now, despite the fact that you've said that the commissioner threatened you to amplify your testimony, you didn't amplify your testimony, did you?
I did. Yes.
The three areas that we're talking about, the boyfriend part and the he was up to no good, right?
Yes. Yes.
So certainly, if you defied the commissioner, then he fired you, right?
No.
Right? Did he demote you when you went back to work the next day?
No.
Did he dock your pay?
No.
Now, he certainly could have done all of those things after the civil service hearing, but he did not, did he?
Correct.
In fact, you worked uninterrupted. When I say uninterrupted, there was no adverse employment action taken against you up until the time you resigned, correct?
Correct.
I didn't get the answer.
Correct. Yes.
Right. So although you've tried to describe a man who was belligerent and threatening you and doing all these different things, you didn't do what he asked you to do and nothing occurred, correct?
I did do what he asked me to do.
So you believe that the parts about the boyfriend and the parts about it seemed like he was up to no good is the amplification he was talking about, according to you. All right.
Yes.
I recall saying a few minutes ago that he wanted you to say he was sexually harassing you and doing all these other things, correct?
Yeah.
All right. So let's talk about, at some point you indicated that you gave a statement about Richard Blum.
That I what? Sorry?
You wrote a statement about Richard Blum?
Yes.
All right. And in that statement, you indicated, on direct, you indicated that the commissioner again demanded that you write the statement, correct?
Yes.
All right. What aspect of that statement is false? If you recall?
The statement in regards to Chief Blum,
Correct.
a lot of it, that he sexually harassed me. I actually have it.
Yeah, read from it.
Okay.
Can we, do you guys, does the city have that as an exhibit?
It should be.
We do not. I do not have it, but if she wants to read it, the whole thing into the record, how long is it?
2 pages.
Go ahead and read from it.
All of this.
And if David, do you have it scanned? You can just share the screen. We'll unshare the screen and you can share the screen.
No, I don't have it.
Okay. Go ahead, Ms. Quintana.
Okay. To whom it may concern, on the morning of Tuesday, June 18th, 2019, Chief Blum called me on my cell phone during work hours. He stated that he was out sick and did not know how long it would take before he came back to work. He then proceeded to question me about an incident that occurred on February 7th, 2019, when Commissioner Carollo saw me during work hours conversing on my cell phone in front of City Hall. That's true. I explained to Chief Blum that after the commissioner saw me, he requested that I go back to the office, where he briefly counseled me on not using my cell phone for private calls during work hours, and that he had been polite and professional in his demeanor towards me. I also explained to Chief Blum that I knew that I had made a mistake, but it was only because of an emergency crisis that a close friend was going through, whom I was trying to help.
What aspect of that, Ms. Quintana, what aspect of that is false?
The part where he briefly counseled me and that he had been polite and professional in his demeanor.
And you're talking about the commissioner himself?
Yes, sir.
Okay, go ahead.
Even after explaining to Chief Blum that the commissioner had acted professionally, not done anything to offend me nor mistreated me, he insisted that he wanted me to say the opposite and to accuse the commissioner of creating a hostile work environment.
are you indicating that Richard Blom wanted you to accuse the commissioner? Okay,
Yes.
because I just want that to be clear. You're saying in your statement that Richard Blom approached you to accuse Commissioner Carollo.
Yes.
Okay. Is that true or false?
True.
Okay. Go ahead.
Chief Blom instructed me to text him the date of the phone call incident and gave me specific instructions to ask the girls, meaning my female coworkers, to put in writing for him any problems that they had experienced with Commissioner Carollo. I felt that Chief Blom was putting me in a very awkward situation, but I was afraid not to follow the instructions of my superior, therefore I complied with his request.
That true or false?
True.
So Chief Blom at this moment is asking you to create a document which says that Commissioner Carollo is acting inappropriately. Correct. Things that you have just described. So this is Chief Blom asking you to do something. Okay, go ahead.
Okay, since early December 2018, when Chief Blom moved me to work inside the separate management area of the office, he went out of his way to build a rapport with me. 1, he treated me better than the other female members of the staff. 2, he would buy and bring lunch for me at the office on many occasions on a weekly basis without my asking.
Is that
3,
true or false?
false.
What part of that is false?
It wasn't a weekly basis.
But outside of him buying you lunch for a weekly basis, the remainder of what you said is true?
No.
What else is false?
He treated me better than the other females of the staff. I don't know if he did or didn't.
Okay.
The commissioner.
Who wrote this document you're referring
to? Me and the commissioner.
Okay, so you wrote this document.
Yes.
Right? And you're indicating, go ahead.
No, I was just saying that number 1, he treated me better than the other female members of the staff. He told me to write that. I don't know if he treated me better or not. Okay. He wouldn't bring me lunch on a weekly basis. It was just every now and then.
Okay. So lunch and treating you better than the other females in the staff.
Yes, he would buy me lunch, but not as often as I said here in the statement.
I understand. But the remainder of what you said in that paragraph, you're saying is true.
Yes.
Okay. Read on.
Well, okay. Number 3, he would sit by my desk for extended periods of time and talk to me about his past and his personal life almost daily.
True or false?
False.
So he did not sit by your desk for extended periods of time?
He would sit by my desk, but it wasn't to talk to me about that. He would talk to me about work.
You're breaking up. He would
sit at my desk for extended periods of time, but it was never his past and his personal life. It was just office talk. He would talk about his daughter sometimes, but it was mostly just work related.
But he would. You start off that paragraph by saying he would sit by your desk for extended periods of time. That's true.
Sometimes, yes.
Okay. What you're saying is not true is the subject matter of the conversation. Sometimes he would talk about personal issues, but sometimes he would not, correct?
Yes.
All right. Continue, please.
Okay, number 4, he would send me home early on numerous occasions, at least 3 times a week, telling me go home or get out of here, that he had to go home to have dinner with his wife.
Is that true?
It wasn't 3 times a week. It was probably once every 2 weeks, if that.
But he would send you home and tell you to get out of here to go have dinner with his wife.
He would tell me to get out of there. He wouldn't.
So that occurred. What you're saying is the frequency is wrong, but the act occurred.
He did send me home, yes. He would never tell me why he was sending me home.
Okay, continue.
And he let everybody else go, not just me.
All right. Continue.
Number 5, he told me to text him directly if I was ever to miss or be late to work, and he was always very lenient and accommodating with me. That's true.
True, okay.
Yep. 6, he even took it upon himself to insist on helping me in preparing for the entrance examination for the position of Customs and Border Protection Officer on 2 separate days during working hours the week before I took the exam on May 7th, 2019. It's true, but not, it's true, but it wasn't as big as it says here. He took it upon himself to insist on helping. He didn't do all of that. He just saw me studying for it and he asked if I needed any help.
Okay. Read on, please.
On Saturday, June 29th, 2019, Chief Blum texted me twice, once in the morning and once in the afternoon, asking me to call him. When I called him, as he requested, he asked me if the girls, meaning my female coworkers, had written anything against Commissioner Carollo, and again kept insisting for me to say that Commissioner Carollo had mistreated me and that he had created a hostile work environment.
True or false?
I'm sorry?
Is that true or false?
Not, as he wasn't insisting on anything.
Okay, let's break that down. Did he text you and call you?
Yes.
Did he say that he wanted you to write a document against Commissioner Carollo?
Yes.
Okay. So what you're quibbling with in that paragraph you just read is the word insisting, but the remainder of it's true.
Kept insisting for me to say that Commissioner Carollo. That part's not true. He kept insisting for me to say that Commissioner Carollo had mistreated me and that he had created a hostile work environment. He didn't say that. He just wanted me to write the document.
Okay, but the part about Chief Blum contacting you and asking you to write a doc, all that's true. What you're quibbling with is the frequency or the intensity of him asking you to do it, correct?
Yes.
Okay, continue reading.
While I've already been feeling uncomfortable and awkward as to why my supervisor, Chief Blum, was so overly interested in being nice to me, I have now been experiencing major stress with the concern of not knowing when he will come back to work and having to work under his supervision after this whole extremely unpleasant situation that he has tried to involve me in. None of that is true.
All right.
I am afraid to go to work with Chief Blum as my supervisor after everything I have described above, and I am respectfully requesting a transfer to any other similar position within the city of Miami where I would not have to work under him. Also not true.
Oh. Anything else?
No. That's it for this. Yeah, that's it.
All right. I'm going to ask you to preserve that document, Ms. Quintana. I know we have a copy here, but I want to make sure I get the one that you read from, okay? And normally what would happen is I would have the court reporter take it from, and just because we'd all be in the same room. Since we're on Zoom, I'm going to have to actually preserve it, and then at some point, Mr. Lincoln, for you to attach that to this deposition. You understand? Okay, so let's talk about that document.
I will get a copy of that and get that over to everybody.
Okay. How many pages was it, Ms. Quintana?
2.
Okay. So when Mr. Sarleson was speaking to you earlier, this is the second part of the thing that really sticks out in my mind is that he was referencing this issue with Chief Blum, right? And I believe you testified under oath that the commissioner called you to his house and had you draft this in front of him. Is that what you said?
Yes.
So explain how.
No.
Go ahead.
No, he, yeah, to his house.
So he called you to his house?
Yes.
Okay. Explain how that transpired.
It was a really long time ago. He basically found out about the statement that I made, and his wife came to my house and took me to her house where Commissioner Carollo and her sister Marjorie were there.
Okay, so what statement are you talking about? What statement that you gave?
The one about Chief Blum.
So you had what you're indicating is you had previously given a statement about Chief Blum.
Yes. No, just this one.
Okay, you're gonna have to take me back, because it sounds to me like you're saying you wrote a statement about Chief Blum and somebody found out about it and then drove you to their house.
Mm, no, hold on. Chief Blum asked me to write a statement about Commissioner Carollo.
Okay. All right.
That was that.
Okay.
This one right here is the one that Commissioner Carollo, this one that I just read, is the one that Commissioner Carollo had me write in regards to Richard Blum, the Chief
I
Blum.
see. All right. So what you're saying now is someone found out about Chief Blum's attempts to get you to write a statement about the commissioner, and your statement is that someone connected to the commissioner's wife picked you up in a car and drove you to the commissioner's house.
Yes.
All right. Who called who in order to set that meeting up? Did he call you or did you call him?
No one called. The commissioner's wife's sister came to my house, which is my great uncle's wife, my great aunt, I guess.
Okay, so the commissioner's wife's sister was at your house. And how did she know about this issue with Chief Blum?
I'm sorry?
How did the commissioner's wife's sister know about your issue with Chief Blum or Chief Blum contacted her?
Her sister, Marjorie.
I understand. So we're together on the point that commissioner's wife's sister was at your house, right?
Yes.
What happened between you and the commissioner's wife's sister, which led to you going to the commissioner's house?
She wanted me to talk to the commissioner. She told me basically the commissioner and Marjorie are at my house. They want to talk to you. We need to go.
So the commissioner's wife's sister came to your house and said to you, we need to go to see the commissioner.
Yes.
Right. Was she sent there to pick you up?
I don't know.
Well,
she did pick me up. I don't know if she was sent or not.
How would that person know that you were having issues with Chief Blum?
Marjorie, Commissioner Carollo's wife.
Told your commissioner's wife's sister that Chief Blum is having an issue with you, or you're having issues with him, and so they were there to pick you up to bring you to the commissioner's house?
I believe so, yes.
Well, did anybody say that that's why they were picking you up?
I mean, she just said that Marjorie and Carollo needed to see me. She didn't really specify why. It was a lot of yelling. She basically just needed me to go to her house and talk to them.
Okay. What is this person's name that you got in the car with?
Marlene.
One more time?
Marlene, like Marlene.
Okay, Madeline. Okay, so you get in the car with Marlene, you go over to the commissioner's house, and what happens?
They start attacking me to the point of tears. They start asking me, how could I do this? Carollo started asking if I had anything against him, if I was getting any money off of, if Chief Blum was offering me money to write that statement about Carollo. Basically everything. He kept asking me if I'm out to get him, if that he specifically said the only reason why I haven't fired you is because of Marjorie and Marlene.
And how did this statement come into existence?
Chief had me write it. No, I don't remember, honestly.
Let me ask you a different way. The statement you just read, who typed it?
Carollo.
Okay. And were you present when he typed it?
Yes.
Where were you when he allegedly typed this document?
In my aunt's house, or great aunt, Marlene's house.
Okay. So when you, now I understand. When you previously said you went to somebody's house, it wasn't Commissioner Carollo's house, it was Madelene's house.
I went to Commissioner Carollo's house for Stephen Moreau deposition. For this one, in regards to Chief Blum, yes, I went to my aunt's house, not his house.
Okay. All right. And so you're indicating that that Commissioner Carrillo typed this document out at Madeleine's house
Yes.
and with you present.
Yes.
All right. And at some point he gives you this document.
Yes.
All right. And you then use this document to complain about Chief Blom's behavior.
Correct.
Okay. I'm just trying to understand the line of what's happening there. And who did you complain to about Chief Blom's behavior?
I don't remember her name. Carrillo had me specifically go to human resources.
Okay, so you're saying that you went against your will?
Yes.
Okay. I have some particular knowledge of this. Did you meet with anybody before you went to the city to complain about Chief Blom?
Just Commissioner Carrillo.
All right. Do you recall coming to the city attorney's office and meeting with a lawyer who directed you to the EEODP's office?
Yes.
And who would that lawyer have been?
You.
That's right. I walked you down to the EEODP's office, didn't I?
Yes.
Okay. Now, during that meeting in my office, you never once said that you were forced to draft this document, correct?
Correct.
You never indicated that you were under pressure to do this, correct?
Correct.
And in fact, it was explained to you that you didn't have to file a complaint if you didn't want to. You understand that?
Correct.
That was explained to you clearly in multiple occasions, right?
Yes.
And then when you went to the EEODP's office, there was only you and the EEODP investigator in the office, correct?
Yes.
In fact, that is a very private sanctum where in the city where all complaints lodged against anybody originate. You understand that?
Yes.
In fact, that was explained to you by the EEOP director, right? Did you call that person's name?
No.
Aseline Hippolyte, refresh your recollection.
Yes.
An African-American female?
Yes.
And she explained to you that you have the right to file a complaint, you have the right not to file a complaint, right?
Yes.
Explain that to you. And you are aware that well, let me ask, at that moment, did you ever say to Ms. Hippolyte that, hey, I've been pressured to come here to do this?
No.
Did you ever tell her that, listen, the commissioner is pressuring me to write this, all of this is false?
No.
There was nothing prohibiting you from making those statements to her, correct?
I'm sorry?
There was no one else in the room but you and her, right?
Yes.
And you could have said, none of this is true, right?
Correct.
You didn't.
I did not.
All right. And are you aware that the EEODP office is where you can swear out complaints against any person in the city regarding inappropriate behavior?
Yes.
So you are aware of that. So if you needed to complain against any commissioner, a complaint against the mayor, complain against anybody who works for the city of Miami, that's the place to do it. You're aware of that.
Yes.
And although you had the opportunity to tell the world at that moment that you are being forced to participate in this, you failed to do that, correct?
Yes. Correct.
When we take a look at the statement that you just read, it would seem to me that there are parts of the statement that are absolute gospel truth and there are parts that are not. Is that fair?
Correct.
And there are parts of the statement that, while true, may have been amplified a little bit and some parts not amplified. Would that be fair?
Correct.
Okay, so when we look at the statement, the parts about the chief contacting you and wanting you to swear out complaints against Commissioner Carrillo, that's true.
Correct.
The parts about him sitting at your desk and for long periods of time, that's true.
Correct.
Nowhere in the statement do you say that that Blom is sexually harassing you, right? That's not, you don't say that,
Correct.
right?
Correct.
Parts about the text messages where he wants you to call him, that's true.
Correct.
The early parts where you talk about him coming into the office and buying you lunch and those kind of things, while may not happen with the same frequency that's put into the document, those parts are true, correct?
Yes.
And so even under your version of how this thing came apart today, in order for anybody to have put that down in writing, you would have had to participate in drafting this document, correct?
Correct.
So Today you're saying is false, which means that you, according to your testimony today, you at least participated in what you knew to be a lie.
Correct.
And then you propagated that lie, not only through meeting with me, but also down to the EODP's office, correct?
Correct.
You sat in the office and advanced a lie knowingly against Chief Blum, correct?
Correct.
And you let that lie fester against Chief Blum, didn't you?
Correct.
You never corrected the record, did you?
Not until now.
Right. So today in 2020, and we've been locked up so long, I don't even know what it is, April 14th of 2020 is the first time you've ever told anybody this version of that story, correct?
Correct.
Now, in the interim, to the extent that Chief Blum was terminated for this, you would have played a role in that, correct?
Correct.
Is there any physical documentation that you've kept or that you've seen which demonstrates that Commissioner Carrillo played any role in drafting this document?
No, he,
Is there a text message or an email or anything to you saying, come to, and I'm going to butcher her name, I apologize, Bernice's house? What's her name again?
Marlene?
I'm sorry, yeah, Marilene. Is there a text message or email to you saying, come to Marilene's house?
No.
So as we sit here today, the only evidence we have that Commissioner played some role in this is your work.
My uncle did. My uncle texted me a couple times, told me to go see Commissioner.
Your uncle, what's your uncle's name?
Vicente.
Uncle Vicente. Now, was Uncle Vicente in the room, according to you, when you drafted this document?
Yes.
He was there.
Yes.
So you, Uncle Vicente, and Commissioner Carrillo drafting this document.
Correct.
How do we find Uncle Vicente?
He's my grandma's brother.
Okay. What's his cell phone number? What's his address?
I'm using my phone, so I can't look that up right now.
Do you know his? You don't know his address off the top of your head? No. Huh. I really want that information before we move forward. There's a way you can get communication to your mother to get you that information?
I can.
What's his age and date of birth?
I have no idea.
You don't know. Okay.
No.
Was there anybody else in the room?
No, just us three.
Why was Uncle Vicente there?
Him and the commissioner know each other, I guess. I don't know from where.
You broke up.
That him and the commissioner know each other, but I don't know from where. I mean, besides Marjorie being his wife, I guess they know each other pretty well.
How long have they known each other?
Since he's been married to Marjorie, which I'm not sure how long that's been.
Okay. So is your Uncle Vicente related to, and when you say Marjorie, you're talking about Commissioner Carrillo's wife?
Correct.
Okay. So is your Uncle Vicente related to Marjorie?
By his wife is Marjorie's sister.
So by marriage?
Yes.
Okay. So by my count, there are at least 2 familial strings between you and the commissioner in this case. Right?
No, just one. My uncle Vicente, yes.
Okay, so what you've been talking about, Commissioner Crowley's wife's sister, this is the same sister you're talking about, married to Uncle Vicente?
Yes.
Okay.
Marlene.
All right, so now we're clear. Okay. This version of the story about how this document came to light is for the first time being exposed today. Is that fair to say?
Correct.
Had you, before testifying today, have you met with Mr. Searleson?
No.
Before and I don't want to know what you spoke to Mr. Winker about, but before testifying today, had you met with Mr. Winker?
Yes.
How many times do you think you met with Mr. Winker?
4, I believe, 4 or 5.
And how long were those meetings?
I mean, hour to 2 hours between that time window.
Okay, so let's jump back a little bit. After you left the EEODP's office, you continued to work for Commissioner Carrillo, correct?
Yes.
All right. And really, you worked uninterrupted. When I say uninterrupted, there's no, you were never suspended, none of your pay was docked, nothing like that occurred, correct?
Yes.
You were suspended.
Not suspended. I was demoted from administrative assistant back to receptionist.
What date did that occur?
I don't remember the specific date.
Well, you were only there for 17 months. So would it have been in the year of 2020 or would it have been in the year of 2019?
19. Yeah.
Sorry, you were terminated in August of 19. So in relation to, you resigned in August of 19. So in relation to August of 19, when were you demoted?
I mean, if in this document was made July 29th, I probably want to say a week after that, if not the week of this document.
Oh, July 29th of 2019?
Yes.
Okay. At some point, you resigned from Commissioner Carrillo's employment.
Correct.
All right. Now, the precipitating event, and again, I don't want to know what any lawyer has told you or what you've said to any lawyer. I'm not entitled to that. But there was a DUI accident that you were arrested for before your resignation, correct?
Correct.
All right. You retained Mr. Seligman?
I'm sorry?
Did you retain a private lawyer?
Yes.
All right. Who retained Mr. Seligman?
I'm sorry?
Okay. Who met with Mr. Seligman? Who, in order to?
Me and my mom.
All right. And who? And I don't want to know the amounts, but who is paying Mr. Seligman?
Me and my mom.
Okay. At some point after that DUI, you resigned from the city, from Commissioner Carrillo's office, correct?
Correct.
All right, Seth, can we put that resignation on the screen? And Madam Court Reporter, we want to add these as exhibits. I'm not sure I was clear about that. You still with us, hopefully?
Okay.
Okay.
This is a court.
So
Can you just, for clarity, say which ones and what order were exhibits?
Yes, I don't recall Mr. Searleson attaching any exhibits, but we'll call the transcript cities 1. We'll take numbers, and if he needs to attach something, you guys can take letters. Is that cool?
Okay.
Make it easier, I actually pre-stamped them.
Okay. Hello. Oh, no.